Hi, welcome to Issues and Insights. I'm your host, Melanie Parker. I am very happy to welcome the Hardin County Coroner, Mr. Pat Elmore. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today, and certainly enjoy it.
When I found out I was going to interview you,
Sure.
my first reaction was, ooh, what are we going to talk about? But I've done some digging, I've done some research, and your job is fascinating. It really is.
And you know, that's the response that we get a lot from different
I'm
folks.
sorry.
It's just no, and you know, and unfortunately with TV, the CSI, you know, we can solve all the cases in 30 minutes, and that's just not the way it is. I mean, it is a very interesting job. It's a job that I think it's a calling that you have to have. It's not something that you're just going to take lightly. All of our staff members, you know, we have a great crew there, and
right. And you make reference to the CSI, so we all have a preconceived notion on what it is you do. So let's get it straight from the horse's mouth. Here in Hardin County, Kentucky, what is the role of the coroner?
Well, and the coroner is a state, you know, dictated thing. So we operate under KR statutes, and the state tells us there's three things that a coroner does. They have to prove the identity of a deceased person and the cause of death and the manner of death. Now, the cause could be heart, it could be anything. That's the system of the body that causes death. The manner of death is what really can get tough sometimes. It could be accident, suicide, homicide, natural, and unfortunately some of them are undetermined. We try to not have that because there's a lot of different areas we can go as far as toxicology and autopsies and so forth. But that's the role of a coroner. Anytime a person is deceased, that outside in the county that's not under hospice care, coroner's going to call.
Gotcha. So if they pass away at the hospital, all the answers are there, you're not needed.
Well, if they pass away, and that's a great question, if they pass away at the hospital, even though they're under supervised care and doctors and so forth, if it's a doctor's signed natural death, if it's anything, you know, a classic example, someone's in a car accident, they're transported to the hospital, then the coroners will get a call. A person comes in unresponsive, it's maybe from a drug overdose, a drug situation like it. As we know, that's getting to be a problem.
Yes.
So coroners are called. If we have a really good working relationship back when it was HMH and now it's Baptist Health. We have a document that we send in, and they report anything that's got any narcotics involved or any kind of accidental situation, because that helps us do our job. You know, it's a collaborative effort. It really is, and that's the big thing about a coroner's office.
Gotcha. So do you get involved if there's just question of manner of death, or do you get involved with just about all of them?
Anything that comes into the emergency room, emergency department, a lot of it we will get a call on it, because, you know, with respect to the doctors, they have a very short time that they are in contact with them. You know, that's just maybe minutes. They may be actually deceased when they arrive at the door. They're working a code that's not survivable or something like that. So they will give us a call. And occasionally we'll get on the phone and we will consult. We have the ability to look at medical records, and it's a collaborative effort. Now, you know, we're not doctors. We're trained as coroners. All of our staff have medical experience.
Right. EMTs.
EMTs, paramedics. Yeah. Police background, some of them do. Mine was firefighting and EMS.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're definitely a man of service.
I've always told everybody I've been on basically almost a 40-year adrenaline rush. It's I love what I do.
Right, absolutely. So when we have I say we because Hardin County's family, when we have a car accident here in Hardin County, and unfortunately someone is deceased, so you automatically get called to all of those, or someone from your office, a representative?
We do. The EMS typical situation, you know, it comes into 911, fire, EMS, police will respond once they've determined the person didn't survive the crash, and they're going to give us a call, and we're going to go out. And again, there's a lot of things, you know, what caused the accident. We don't get involved in accident reconstruction. Our process is we figure out what happened to the body, the injuries and so forth. And some of that requires autopsy, you know, some of it just does toxicology. Now we work a lot more cases than we ever have now. We exceeded 1,000 this year. So,
really? 2023, right?
No, 2023. Yes,
I say
this. No, I say this year, but no, in 2023 we were over 1,000 cases. And you know, even though we're working that many cases, we send a lot less for autopsies. Autopsies, you know, everybody's misconception is coroners do autopsies. We
Right,
do
see,
not.
that was my assumption,
We do not.
because they do it on TV.
And you know, the toxicology comes back in 30 minutes, which in reality it takes 4 to 6 weeks.
Really?
It does.
Where do those get sent?
We send those to an independent. It's the same lab that's the pathology department uses. It goes to Access Labs in Indianapolis.
Okay.
It's a secured scene. All of our staff, you know, we'll take the toxicology. We'll send away. It goes into secured kits. It goes to the lab, and they'll give us a report on what it is. Then we have to determine, you know, if there's something in the system that maybe caused an issue, what that was. And unfortunately, as you know, drugs are a big thing right now. We have a lot of overdoses. I mean, it's...
Well, out of the 1,000 deaths, I'm putting you on the spot here, but out of 1,000 deaths in 2023, how many would you attribute to
I
drugs?
think there was 27 overdoses this
27
year.
overdoses.
Yeah.
Not to mention how many
There was
people
maybe more
probably
than
were
that.
brought.
I actually got that. I'm sorry, there were 35.
35.
There were 26 suicides.
Wow. Mm,
I got my numbers reversed there. but,
Wow. Eek.
yeah.
So do you get called to suicides as
We
well?
do.
Okay.
We do. Anything that happens outside the hospital, like I said, other than hospice death, we get a call on.
So, and I assumed you all did autopsies. You do not. So who does those?
They're done by the forensic labs, and there's actually the state. It's a state-funded forensic pathologists do that. There's a team that's in Louisville. There's one in Frankfurt. There's one in Madisonville, and there's one in Fort Thomas. So it's done.
Wow.
These are state. They're doctors, are forensic pathologists, and they're done there. One of our staff members actually used to be an autopsy tech there, so we were fortunate.
Wow.
Shana Norton, we were fortunate to get her to come to our office. She's been there a good long while now.
Well, you're
but,
blessed.
Yeah, we are.
You talk
We are.
about your staff. So what is the structure like at your office? How many do you have on your
We
team?
have 7 full-time and 1 part-time.
Okay.
We have, it's just, it's a really neat, we've got 2 of our coroners have over 40 years experience. John Clemens and Barry Brown, they have over 40 years experience.
Wow.
I told you about Shana, that was her experience.
Yes.
She was coroner in Spencer County, or I'm sorry, in Oldham County, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But then she became an autopsy tech, then she came to us. Tim Gibson, he's a paramedic, and he still works at Fort Knox, but he's one of our coroners. Dennis Oldham, he's a retired state trooper. He's one of our deputies. Jamie Armstrong, and then Stephanie Bertrice. That's our crew. I always like to get that plug in.
Right,
from
I
because
hear a lot of familiar names.
They are such a fantastic group.
Yeah, they deserve
Yeah,
that.
John Clemens, I think I spoke with him. He's a really neat guy. He's was a helicopter pilot in the Army, and he's been a coroner 40 years. So.
You know, it takes an extra special person. Everyone has a niche, you know, and I when I worked at the hospital, if I had to go down to the hall where the morgue is, I just, without even thinking about it, always quick step past the morgue because I couldn't do it. So God bless you all that can do that because it's a need.
Well, I appreciate that. And, it goes further than just going out. I use this scenario with our families. So we meet the best people in the world under the worst circumstances, because we never have any good news for them. We're the ones that are knocking on the door in the middle of the night telling maybe their child's been killed in a car accident, or we're the one that's going into the quiet room at the hospital and telling them that, we're going to have to look further. We don't believe it was a heart attack. And, it's all in how you talk to these families.
Try not to cry.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's
I'm a feeler.
it really is. I mean, it's we take it very seriously. We really do because
And it's a serious thing, and it's important. And for families who are having the worst episode of their entire lives, it's so important that the people that are surrounding them and sharing this information are gentle,
right.
and caring and loving.
Right,
That's a huge role.
It is, and we prefer. I know a lot of coroners' offices, they'll have police make their notifications because somebody has to notify a family. You try to do it as quick as you can
Right.
for obvious reasons.
Nobody
because
wants to do that, I'm sure.
unfortunately, with social media and everything else, I mean, true stories. We've actually would be leaving the scene, and it would be on Facebook. So you start getting phone calls. Not only a statement, but pictures, and there's unfortunate. Well, but there again, social media can be your best friend when you're trying to find family for somebody.
Right.
We try not to put that out there immediately, but we do that. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing these, and it's funny because after all these years, you will run into people that you maybe worked a case on somebody years ago, and you adopt these people; they're your
Sure.
family. So
Yeah. Well, you are the face that the first face or one of the first faces in their trauma.
right. Right. We
And they embed on you.
Sure,
in print.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we give them our information, we tell them, said you're gonna remember probably about 20% of what, and sometimes weeks, months, and even years later, these people, because unfortunately Hardin County is fortunately Hardin County is a big place now, and it's growing, and we have a lot of people coming into our county.
Right. We're like the 5th largest or most populated county in Kentucky.
We are. And with that draws challenges too. We have a lot of population, daytime populations coming in here. So people think, well, how does that affect the coroner's office? Well, how it affects them, they may not have family in Kentucky. They may not have family anywhere close. I mean, we've worked cases on people that have in Mexico, their families in Mexico. So we know when we work that case, we're going to have some things that are going to come up. We're going to have trouble finding maybe next of kin. So
is that part of your role, is finding next of kin?
It is. Again, sometimes we'll depend on the police to help, but I mean, we've got, fortunately with the information the way it is now, we have databases where we can look for people and find next of kin a little quicker than we used to, but it is. I mean, you try to find them next of kin, but again, some of these people live outside the county, the state, or even the country. So we know they're going to be in our care for a while. And unfortunately, you brought up the hospital and the old morgue area. Now we have an office. We're in the basement of the EMS building, and we have our own morgue areas. We're able to do our studies there. We're able to hold our decedents there until we can help families get them reunited.
Wonderful. You talk about reuniting families. Have there been cases where that's been a huge challenge, maybe?
We had one that we had for almost 6 months that we tried to find family, and then, like I said, I mean, we had a case where the gentleman was in Alaska. We had one that was in Mexico. They just can't get here. So, we try to help them out any way that we can, but yes, it can be a challenge.
DNA, does that come into play for you all now?
It has in the last several years. It really has. Years ago, we worked a case, it was in 2006, of an unidentified male. Well, now with DNA, the way things are, everyone's getting their DNA checked to see just kind of what it is. And
I haven't yet. I'm considering it, but I haven't done it yet. My kids have.
I guess it could turn out good or bad.
Right.
But I've never seen them not turn out great.
Sure.
Like everybody's, family.
Yeah, everyone wants to know the what, when, where, why.
Yeah, they were princes, they were kings, or
of course,
rulers of
always.
the country. But this particular man, he was found on the side of 65. He was skeletonized. So back then, DNA wasn't as prevalent. We worked for several years, and I was telling Shana Norton, she was actually able to contact another DNA company, and we were actually, and that was just last year, about this time, we were actually able to figure out who he was, and he went from being unidentified in 2006 to being Ricky Wayne Leslie, and we know where he is, and we were able to contact family, all just because DNA was preserved back years ago.
Right, and he mattered.
And he mattered. He
mattered from 2006. Really, that is amazing.
Yep.
I'm sure his family just was very happy. Well, I'm sure they fantasized that he was off living his best life on a beach somewhere, but the closure is important, I would assume.
The closure is, and
Yes.
none of them really will ever believe, I think, that he's living his best life or whatever. But it's,
Right.
but that does give closure, and I think that's what the family would share, if they talked to him. We've talked to him a few times. It's like, we knew he was probably deceased, but we didn't know where. And the world's a big place, as they say. So
They got to bring him home.
They got to bring. Well, they did. And,
Yeah.
and like I said,
Do you have some that just to this day have not been
we
identified?
We have one. We have one right there, and it was an odd situation because it was a man that was hit on I-65, and we believe we know who he was but unfortunately with DNA. But there was tattoos, and there were certain things. We believe we know who he is, and we're fairly sure who he is, but the family refuses to believe that's him.
Gotcha. So what do you do with him? Honestly,
He
is that a
is-
crude question to ask?
No, actually, that's a great question. If we have family and they're willing, the county, they'll help them with the cremation. But with those, if you don't know who the family is, or you don't know who the person is, obviously you can't cremate them because so they're actually buried in the city cemetery up there.
Okay.
We've started a program now. We're trying to find another area where we can use that, and we don't want to just take a person up there and just basically bury them and forgot about it. So we're trying to find out where we can have markers to identify who they were and who, you know, and so forth, because years from now, and some of these families just can't get back, so we help them with burials and so forth.
That's wonderful,
we
because
have-
like we said, everybody matters.
We have a contracting funeral home. They're great to work with, and they help us out with that.
Good.
So
They're doing the right things for the right reasons,
They are.
apparently.
They are.
So who pays for that? Is that county funded?
county-
Do you take donations?
It's county funded. It's
Okay.
county funded.
All right. So if somebody wants to bequeath some towards that, is that something they could do?
We're looking at maybe doing something like it getting maybe
GoFundMe?
Well, no, you know, with county, we don't really, I mean, there's a lot
Sure.
of things involved with the aspects of the
Different
accounting
buckets
and
of
so
money.
forth. But, you know, I mean, we're looking at just possibly down the road, looking just a nonprofit to look at helping people with this. You know, it's just, there was a young man that was killed in a car accident, and his mother started JT's Way. That's another thing. You were asking about funding and some of the programs,
Sure.
but she is able to help people that have lost a child. So, you know, that's something that we push. We don't really recommend anybody, but that's something we support ourselves, you know, personally. And so, yeah, it's good. But, yeah, that's what we attempt to do.
So how many folks do you have in that cemetery currently? I'm putting you on the spot, and it's okay if you don't know.
No.
That are unclaimed, that don't have
There
anyone
is-
visit them.
Well, and it's not to be misleading. There's 4 that are unclaimed.
Okay.
There were,
I'm glad that's a low number.
yeah, there's 4 that were unclaimed. Now, there are several that were claimed, but like I told you, the situation where his only surviving relative
Sure.
was his brother. He lived in Mexico.
When they get seasoned and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, they can't get here. They physically live outside the country. They can't get here. So we assist them with that. Now, you know, our hope is that if they're ever, and they will tell you, once they're able to come back or whatever, they're going to go down there and.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I ask because there may be viewers who may want to go on a Sunday afternoon and just show a little respect to
right.
people who just don't have anybody.
Yeah, if you look in the city cemetery, you know, there is some of our decedents up there that had no family left. You know, they had some means, they had no family left, so they're
Right.
buried. If you look in there, you'll see it in certain sections of the cemetery, a city cemetery. You will be able to find that one
Wonderful.
particular. Unfortunately, I can't remember. I can walk to it, but I
Sure,
can't tell you
of
exactly
course.
where it
I
is.
mean, I think you have other things going on. Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
just another aspect of what
Sure,
we do. You know, it's,
sure. And it's a huge aspect.
Right.
You know, well, it's one component, one cog in the wheel, because you have very close relationships with all of the emergency folks, don't you?
We do. We work with police. We work with EMS, fire. Like I was telling the pathologist. I mean, it's a joint effort. It really is. You know,
Yes.
Hardin County's blessed. They have, of course, they have their EMS system, but they have multiple police departments, and you know, all of them have detectives. So I mean, we try to maintain a close working relationship, because what happens, especially in criminal scenes, is as you know, with DNA and, you know, back to all the tampering of evidence and containing of evidence, the things that initially are done on that scene could affect things from now on, from litigation and so forth. So
It would seem it would be super important for everyone that's got their hands in the situation working together, right hand, left hand.
it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And
Makes
it's
everyone's job
amazing.
easier.
It's amazing. Of course, a lot of us older folks are.
I
been a
prefer
while.
the word seasoned, but
Seasoned,
okay.
okay. Some of our seasoned are a little, but you know, and then there's a whole different generation of people coming in now with detectives and so forth, and they're great.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. They're very, and you know, and again, technology has changed so much.
Yes.
I mean, you know, the way you document a scene back when we all started our careers, just back when Dr. Lee was the coroner and we had Spanky and some of the other ones, you know, we worked out of the basement.
Classics.
We worked out of the basement of the health department, and we had one bag phone, and when you were on call, you took the bag phone and you had to hand it off. And
Right.
body bags were the same way. You know, we had a few body bags there, and you would hand it off to the next person. So now we have a fully
Hoping
staffed.
it was empty, I'm sure.
It was. You know,
Yes.
That would be. Yeah, we couldn't do that. But we're blessed with a great office staff. You know, the
Yes.
counties took really good care of us. They're-
Strong team's important.
Strong team's very important. Very important.
Well, let's talk about some good stuff.
Okay.
Okay. I know that recently your office was involved in the Hardin County Government Tree Decoration Contest. How did that turn out?
One of our staff members, Stephanie Vertreese, as I told you, she came from EMS. So last year, you know, she decorated a tree for EMS, and it was really something. So yes, she actually, we're going to give kudos to Stephanie Vertreese
Right.
for the corner. She had decorated his tree. It was amazing. But one of the neatest things happened was, of course, you vote on that Facebook and
Right.
social media.
I looked it up on Facebook. I don't want to ruin it. I want to encourage everyone to go to the Hardin County Government Facebook page and look at that tree. Look at all of them, but look at yours. It is top notch, and you deserve to win.
Well,
she did a good
again,
job.
kudos to her,
Yes.
and it became
It was
it can
good.
become a labor of love for her. And
Yes.
she was really starting to stress. But as the votes were coming in, of course, EMS
Right.
was going on there. But people do respond to it, and like I said, it was very, and that was done throughout the county. It really built a team.
Sure. We've
it
got
was,
a great team system in our government, all in Hardin County. All of the cities, everybody, the mayors, everybody is just really works together.
right, team building.
Yeah.
And it was EMS. It was the
Talk that
clerk's
fun
office.
smack.
It was, and we mentioned the other night in one of the court meetings, when they said that, I said, they gave us a trophy. I said, next year we're looking about getting a championship belt.
Oh,
like-
okay. You're
but-
taking it up a notch.
we're
Is
gonna
it a
take-
travel trophy or is it yours forever?
No, it's a travel trophy. See,
Okay.
that's where the belt will come in.
Gotcha.
But the neat story behind that was, like I said, people vote on social media, and we had a mother respond back, and she said, my son told his age and said he was autistic. She said he responded to that.
Three, I believe.
He was 3.
Little, yeah.
And she said he responded that. She said, to me, it was she said she voted for the tree.
Nice.
So we were actually able to reach out to her and said, well, if he really liked the picture, how would he like to see it in person?
Oh,
So he came by. Tim Gibson was on call that day. Where unfortunately some of us were on some other calls and meetings, but he spent about an hour and a half. Went home with one of the ornaments off of his tree, and we hope, it was really something that, and I told Stephanie and the rest of the staff, I said, you've already won, whether the
Yes.
tree does or not. I said,
100.
to bring that much joy. I mean, this little guy, they videotaped, and it was just a joy to see
Yeah,
him with that tree.
I strongly encourage folks to go to the Facebook page and check that out because I was like,
And-
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And she's assured me it's going to be bigger and better next year.
I can't wait.
We can't either. I don't
Oh
know what
my
she
gosh.
can possibly do because
You all are taking up the competition.
if you look at the tree, there's so many things that's implemented in it that you wouldn't even believe that until you see the tree, that's things in our everyday world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so.
Well, and I like that you all are participating in things like that. It's super important. You have such a serious job and such an intense, passion-driven job. It's important that people see that you're people. You're everyday people. You're the fathers, the brothers,
We
the
are.
aunts, the uncles, the sisters, all of the things to our community that just has a really, really tough job.
All of our decedents are somebody's. We always tell them it's somebody's mom, dad, aunt, brother.
Right.
It's somebody's relative,
Yes.
regardless, of the situation. And it is, and and we have, we have people come by and see us every once in a while. Like I said, families that we've helped in the last several
Is
years.
that they've imprinted on you, or you've imprinted on them?
We hope so. We
Yeah.
hope so. Because I think they're going to remember us from now on. Unfortunately, it's bad news, but it's we try to cushion it as much as we can. It's
Well, and I think it's human nature. Even though you're the face of their trauma at the time, you're also their comfort. And someone who's been there, done that, and can help them through that process is a really comforting
Right.
thing, I would assume.
well, and after all the years that all of our staff has worked cases, you think that everything could be maybe somewhat similar, and to a degree they are,
Right.
but reactions will always vary, and
I
you
can't
you
even
never.
imagine.
You have to understand it. 3 o'clock in the morning, you're knocking on somebody's door, and the porch light comes on. You hear footsteps. This is an analogy I tell all of the folks when we're teaching some of our class. You hear footsteps, and you turn that light on. You may get the door slammed in your face. You may get pushed. You may.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
It's very easy for all of us to say, this is what I would do. You don't know. You really,
No.
I'd probably be a door slammer. I don't know. I really don't know.
And that's okay. I've had the door slammed in my face.
Yeah.
I've been pushed, but that's okay. And that's not that person. That person is reacting to the situation. That's not necessarily them. And, it's, and once you leave and you think, it makes you go home and hug your family a little tighter. And it makes
no
you
doubt.
realize and thankful for what you have because, unfortunately, you don't want to ever see that call or
No.
that knock on the door. But
Right. I'm glad I'm seeing you in this environment.
I am.
Yeah.
And, we're located out, like I said, in the basement of the EMS building. We always like to have somebody drop by and visit. We'll
Really?
give people the tour of the place.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
unfortunately.
y'all probably like some cupcakes every now and then, some muffins, a
we're-
general thank you. Well, it is January, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
check with us in
Start
a
in
few months. That'll reset, but yeah, check
Exactly.
with us every minute. You know, it's just, people drop by, we have magistrates drop by, we have the EMS, you know, people have curiosity about
Yeah,
what
it's
things.
good that you're approachable.
You know, we have-
Because it's scary. What you do is scary. To the layman, it's scary.
That's something we hope we never hear of. People are not approachable.
Right,
You
right.
know,
I feel
because,
much better.
You know, it's
Yes,
it,
I
it
hope they
is.
do.
I mean, we're here. We're human just like everybody else. You know,
Right.
it's somebody. There's no rhyme or reason to it. After all these years, you know, you talk to the staff, and you know, it's from 40 years down to a year or two, and you think you try to be hardened to it, and you think, well, and then I'll be honest with you.
You're human.
There's some of them that will hit, and you know it. You have tears in your eyes, and you don't really know explain why. You think, well, I need to pull myself together here, but
Yeah.
you know, I hope that feeling never leaves. I
Right.
really do. I think if you do, I think it's time to do something else.
Agreed. I think the bottom line is you all give answers.
We try.
And that is so important for most people, getting those answers. Why? What happened and why is super important for
Well,
closure.
And that's our biggest job. And, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not going to be good, you know, but you have to sit down and explain to them. That's what we always tell when we call with the results. We don't like to do it over the phone. We'll come to your place and we'll give you a toxicology, we'll give you autopsy results, or we'll have them come to our office. And usually you can explain to them, yeah, because people do want to know. And, you know, you have a lot of information
wanna
there.
know.
And some of these, and you know, you think more of criminal, and we've talked about overdose, but some of these things are natural processes. And, you know, if it's something down the road there, they may not want a person autopsy, but we can't explain it. Well, there may be something come out of that autopsy that shows that there was some type of defect or some type of thing that can be controlled with medication.
And families need to know.
You know.
If it's a hereditary thing.
Absolutely.
You need those answers.
Absolutely.
For your other children, you know, your parents, siblings, whoever, answers are important, and you all offer those, and that's wonderful.
That's the positive that comes out of it. And those are the ones that make you feel, you know, that's what you hope to gain, and that's what you can tell the families, you know.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, I'm afraid we're out of time.
Oh, I didn't mean
This
to get
has been great.
long-winded.
No, I feel like I learned so much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I was like the corner, but wow, I feel better about it.
Well, I
really
appreciate the
do.
opportunity to come in. We always
Yes.
do, and like I said, it's. I told you before we started. When it comes corner, I can get long-winded.
Well,
here, but
no,
it's,
I think you did a great job. You
appreciate
you're very approachable, and if the rest of your team is like you, Hardin County is truly blessed.
Well, I
So
appreciate
thank
the
you to
compliment, I
you
really
and
do.
your team.
And they are.
Yes.
Trust me, they are.
I will mark my calendar for February, March, maybe bring you all some muffins or something.
Bring them on a day that I'm not there. No, but we're there every day, so it doesn't
Right,
matter. But,
great.
you know,
Yeah. Well, Pat, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
And
I
thank you
appreciate
for
it.
serving Hardin County.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm Melanie Parker. Thank you for joining us for Issues and Insights, and we'll see you next time.